One of the biggest modifications that Amber's been trying to get me to install on her Model Y is the tilt screen. We've absolutely loved it on my Model 3. And today is finally the day we're going to be putting it inside of Amber's Model Y. So when she's gone at work, we're going to surprise her and get that in today. Now, I've installed quite a few of these inside of my Model 3. I've actually installed 4 different variations of them. And the one we're looking at today is the latest version of the one from Tech Forum that Matt has created. With this version, not only does the screen pivot side to side, but now it also, take a look at this, can twist up and down. So if you loosen up the screws right here on the top, you're actually going to be able to adjust the screen tilt forward and back quite a bit more than we've ever been able to do. On top of that, there are 3 plastic pieces now that are going to go around the back and hide all of this mechanism to make it look like it's more OEM fitting right into your dash. Now the piece is made out of aluminum and the package includes everything you're going to need aside from a couple tools. There is an Allen wrench included, but you are going to need a socket wrench, socket, and some screwdrivers. Now installs like this can be kind of in-depth, so I'm going to do my best to kind of show you the majority of this install. I've made other videos on this in the past, so I'm not going to get as detailed. I'll show you some of the newer things, but before you get started, what you really need to know is what tools to have with you. And I may have a different set of tools than some people use, but let me show you what I get. You're going to need a 10mm socket and extension. This one's kind of newer for this one. This is a 3/4 inch socket, and that's to adjust the pivot right here, that big nut right there. A both flat and Phillips head screwdriver, the provided Allen wrench, a number 30 Torx head, it's the star, and some needle nose pliers. Now I'll show you where to use all those tools as we get the install going, but let's try to get this done really quick so we can talk about it. So let's go. Now the first thing we're gonna do is take our flathead screwdriver and pry this lower panel off right here to get access to the 10mm bolts that are holding this on. Now this part does kind of leave this a little bit scratched up down here, but this is not supposed to be going back on. It's actually kind of hard to take off sometimes. However, that was way easier than my Model 3. So what's happening right now is this piece that came out here on top of this panel, that is actually your temperature sensor. So first thing we need to do is remove that. And to do that, we need that number 30 Torx. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier is anytime you're doing any kind of an install involving the computer or wires or anything, just come in here to your safety tab and power off the screen. Now, chances are you're gonna tap the brake pedal or hit a lever or something, it's going to turn it back on. That's fine, just keep powering it off. And also with the newer refresh model like we have here, you can actually just disconnect the plug right here. There's a little snap right here that you can actually just disconnect to take this off. So this is a little bit different than the older model like my Model 3. There's actually a little fan in here and everything, so a little bit different, but then you can take it off here later and connect it at another time. Next, take the 10mm. There's just 2 bolts down here to undo. Now one more, I guess, tool that I did not mention is you need like a rag, something, because what we're going to do next here in this next phase is we're going to take this screen and lay it face down here. We're going to be kind of storing it until we get back to it. So to do this now, we've removed the 2 10mm bolts right there. We're going to take it and kind of shake it off, because what you've got is you've got basically like 2 metal pieces coming out of the car, and then the current mount, the back of the screen, goes right into those 2. So you got to kind of pull that back out. You kind of shake it out. Now, when you do this, be very careful. You still have wires attached. You can see the screen is still on. So when you come back here, there should be plenty of wire there, but just kind of take it and kind of curl it up so it's all nice right there. We're going to be taking this off here eventually as well. But first, we're going to get, let's take this thing off first. So to do that, we're going to need that number 30 again. And so we're just going to come down here and remove this real quick. And then when you pull this up here, you're going to actually see the wire. You're going to see the connector here that's connecting the screen to the actual car. So we're just going to go ahead and remove this little clip right here, and then we'll be good to go to start working on the actual installation. There's this little white piece that was on mine right here as well. This was not on my Model 3 last time I did an install. I'm not sure what that's specifically for, but I'm going to just put it to the side right now to get access to the clip. And then this is where I use the needle nose pliers. Okay, this is not touching any electrical part. It's just that on the side of the clip here, there's a little tab you got to pinch and pull, and it's just really hard on the fingers sometimes. You got to pinch and kind of shake it. This one came out super easy. If that doesn't happen, then you might want to use some needle nose pliers. Comes out no problem. So when that's done, just pull this piece off, and now you have the screen here, you have your wires, and you're ready to move on. So next, what we're going to be doing is actually putting in the actual mount itself. So it goes in just like this. Okay, these holes here, they're going to attach to the screen, are going to be facing down. The part here that's going to have the cord right in there goes just like that, comes in there, plugs into the screen. This just goes in straight like this. Now, the other thing to notice too, these things were fairly flexible, so you can kind of move them around a bit to make sure it all goes in nice and straight. So that's absolutely perfect. That makes that real nice and simple. The other thing I did is I used that 3/4 inch socket here to loosen up this nut right here. That way I can actually move this thing around to get in to access the screw holes here, which is gonna be real nice and easy. All right, so my mic cut out, so we're switching over to voiceover for a bit here. So next step, we're gonna take and put these 10mm screws back in that you already took out, the ones that came with the car, not the ones in the package. Get them in hand tight first, and you can just swivel that mount out of the way to reach in there nice and easy. A big upgrade over the last one, which was a little bit harder to get into. Then take your 10mm socket and extension and tighten them right up. And it makes sense to get them pretty snug. Then take your larger socket, which I'm using the 3/4 inch because that's what I have that fits, and snug that up a little bit so it's not moving around on you so much for the screen install. From there, take the wire and replug it back into your screen just the same way you took it out, just in reverse. Don't forget to add that little white clip back on if you're doing this in a newer model. And then to install it, it's very simple. You're just gonna make sure that the thread holes of the mount by TechForm are facing down. Then you're gonna take the screen and the holes on the screen mounts on the back and basically line them up there and hold the screen while you screw them in with your hand. Now, these are the bolts that come with it. You're gonna have to open them up out of the package. And then it's just a game of guess for a few minutes until you get the first one started. I would actually recommend that you tighten the screen mount up a little bit more here than I did. I had it way too loose. It was constantly moving around on me. But once you get the first one started, it's a lot easier to get the second one started, and then you just make sure you tighten them up. And that's it. We've connected the screen now to the car, and you can see I can move it a lot. There's a lot of movement on here. It'll move less when the shroud is on, but you get a lot of movement, and you can adjust the tension on it later once you get it to a good spot. I like to be able to move mine throughout the day a little bit, so I'm not going to make it extremely tight, but enough that it doesn't move. So now most of the mounting is done, at least the main part of the mechanism there. So just watch how this actually works. You can see here as I'm turning it, how much movement you have there all the way over to the passenger side, forward and back there. And then when you're in this position here, you can move it down. You can go really far down. I mean, you can, go really far down there, and then all the way back up again pretty far as well. So you get just a ton of customability, probably 400% or 500% more than any one that I've ever reviewed before. You just have an incredible, I mean, I can have this looking directly at me. Like this is a very, very nice view. And my knees don't hit it. There still is a gap, between my knees and it. So even though it's lower, it's fine. And of course you can raise it up a bit. Anyway, we'll get into more of that here in a minute. Let's get the shroud, the hard plastic shroud on it, and then this will be done. Okay, so the first part of the shroud is this piece right here, and it's gonna go on like this. Okay, so we have it right here. It's gonna go up and then over like this. It's gonna come right back here onto the back of this. So to do this, here we go, come right back, and you can see it just slides right on there like that. Kind of turn it down here so you can see it, and then we're gonna take these Allen screws and put them right down into here, screw those right in. And of course, these are the 2 Allen screws that are included with the set. For the next part of the install, we're gonna do this big top part here that's gonna go just like this. You take it like this, it's gonna go right down like this onto here. So I'm gonna pull this all the way forward, and you can see now that I have the actual shroud on there for the first part here, that it limits it from going all the way down, which was a total useless movement anyway. So you can feel it actually stops right there, which is flush, like it is when you buy it, your car originally. Then I'm gonna come in here. And again, what's so nice about all these is that they can be installed without having to put them on first. They can actually come right in here and do it after the fact, which is super nice. And there's these little tabs down here that just gotta kind of go inside here, and it just sort of snaps into place. So this is where we're at so far. We got that top piece right there. We've got this piece underneath here all ready to go. Now all we need to do is get that temperature installed in there, that temperature sensor, and we're gonna be good to go. Now the last piece here of the shroud is to put on the temperature sensor. Now I told you in the beginning that you use a T30 to take off the temperature sensor. It's actually a T20, which I realized when I went to go take mine off later. Now the piece that TechForm sends out to you is able to mount both the old temperature sensor as well as a new one. There are 2 different mounting locations on the piece. From there, you're going to take 2 of these 6 self-tapping screws and you're going to screw it on into that plate. And then there you go. That's what it looks like when it's all ready to go. That little clip is on the left side, and then you're going to take it like this and basically just push it straight up into the spot. You can see where it's going to go. There actually are little ledges to help you line up the holes, but what I ended up doing was just putting the screw through, lining it up with my eyes, and then screwing it in the rest of the way on both sides, and then tighten them all up later. The screws lined up very easily. It wasn't an issue. Just be careful not to over tighten them. You are screwing plastic to plastic, so just be careful with that. But overall, went in very easily. And of course, don't forget to clip on your temperature sensor wire. All right, so here's a couple things to look at. First of all, here is a perspective, from the driver's seat. So this is the way it comes from the factory. You can see you can take it and tilt it here towards you. If you don't like the angle of it, you can push it back, move it down forward. You can really do a lot of adjusting however you want. You can't spin it, but you can tilt it up and down and move it over here towards you. And if it's too loose or too tight, then there are two Allen screws that we already showed you back there that you can tighten or loosen to make that more comfortable. Same thing with this. There's that large, well, I use a 3/4 inch socket to adjust that as well. So if you want to tighten it or loosen it, you can kind of set that to your own preference. There is one thing to be aware of though when doing this, is that it does drop it down that 1.6 inches, I believe it is, which means that if you're the kind of person that kept your phone down here on the wireless charger, that you no longer are going to be able to see your phone very well. In fact, I could only see about 1/4 of it from here because the screen, again, is just so much lower, which is why so many times I use these TEMI mounts over here that so many of you guys have purchased, and it keeps the phone in my perspective and you can charge it and everything. Or from MagSafe, a really nice mount we're going to be putting on this car here soon, that you just take your phone and wirelessly clip it right there. Again, it charges. But either way, if you need to see your phone for whatever reason, to know if when your kid's from school is calling you or whatever, you're not going to be able to really see much going on down here anymore. And of course, I have to tell you, for all of you who are going down to the comments to write, well, you shouldn't be on your phone when you're driving anyway. Okay, you still need to know if your kid's calling you, so you can pull over to the side of the road to talk to them. But I do have to honestly say that of the 4 mounts that I have installed in this car, 4 or 5 now, this one went in the easiest and gives you the most functionality. This is the 3rd variation that I've installed of mats, and then just keep getting better. And with the addition of this hard shroud back here, adding a lot more OEM look to it, it's just really nice. So like with a lot of this stuff, this is going to be really cool to some people, and this is going to be absolutely unnecessary to others. I've seen lots of mixed reviews on this for my own videos and stuff of the past, of people saying, well, I love just a simple flat look, why do you need to tilt it? You probably don't. But for people who do, this is a very good option, a good way to actually do it. I can tell you this, that everyone who I've ever talked to who has installed these inside their car would never go back. So, I mean, there's that. My wife and I have been dying to get this into the Model Y, so it feels a lot more what we're comfortable with, what we like, and we absolutely love it. So as always, I will put the price of this plus my discount code and percentage and all that down below this video. If you guys want one of these, let me know that you guys picked one of these up. Now, I know what's happening. You're thinking, I'm gonna go binge watch this guy's videos, and that's great. Go do that. But first, take a second and hit the like button on this video for me. That really helps continue to send this video out after the first day of its release. And we got a couple more installs coming up, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when those videos are available. See you on the next one.